Okay, let's get right into it. We are tracking some absolutely huge, fast-moving reports coming out of Tehran right now. We're talking about a major event that could completely reshape, well, everything in the Middle East and maybe even the world. If this is confirmed, it would be a truly historic power shift.
All right, so before we dive deep, we need to be on the same page about just how big a deal this is. It all comes down to one person, the supreme leader. So, who is he? Well, in Iran, he is the ultimate authority. We're not just talking about a religious figurehead here. This is the person with the final say on, well, everything. All major state policies, the military, the government, you name it, he's in charge. And here it is, the absolute core of the story we're following. There are unconfirmed reports, and I have to stress unconfirmed, claiming that the supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, has been killed. And not just killed, but taken out in what sounds like a very, very targeted airstrike on a government building in Tehran.
Okay, so a strike like this, it doesn't just happen out of the blue, right? There's a history here, a long one. It's really the culmination of decades of conflict and tension that's just been ratcheting up and up. So let's take a quick look at the timeline, just to understand how we got here.
You can really trace a lot of this back to 1979 and the Islamic Revolution. That's when the US and Israel were basically declared sworn enemies. Now, if we fast forward a bit, you might remember the Iran nuclear deal in 2015. It was a huge deal, but then it completely fell apart just a few years later in 2018. And more recently, just this year, in 2025, we saw these massive protests inside Iran, which were met with a really brutal crackdown. So you've got all this pressure, both from the outside and from within, just building to a breaking point.
All right, let's talk about the operation itself. What do we actually know? Well, according to the reports we're seeing, this was a meticulously planned, highly coordinated strike, and it even had a code name, reportedly from the US, Operation Epic Fury. And it seems like the timing was absolutely everything here. We're hearing that at about 9:40 in the morning, Tehran time, Israeli missiles slammed into that government compound. Why then? Well, intelligence sources are claiming that the CIA had been tracking the supreme leader for months, and they apparently got wind of a high-level meeting happening at that exact time. Talk about precision. Now, this is huge. The alleged casualties go way beyond just the supreme leader. The reports are saying that the chief of staff, the head of national defense, the commander of the powerful IRGC, that's the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, and even the defense minister were all killed in this one strike. I mean, think about that. This wasn't just taking out one person. It was effectively a decapitation strike, just wiping out Iran's entire senior military and security leadership in one go. And then, almost immediately after the strikes, this message comes out from the former US president. When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take. Whoa, that changes things, doesn't it? This frames the whole operation as something much bigger than just a targeted strike. It's a direct call to the Iranian people to rise up. It's a clear signal that the goal here is regime change. So, you can probably guess what happened next. That message about regime change was met with an absolutely swift and furious response. Iran didn't wait. They launched their own operation, called True Promise 4, and just unleashed a massive, massive wave of retaliatory strikes across the whole region. And when I say massive, I mean it. We're talking about a counteroffensive on a scale we haven't seen before. Hundreds of missiles and drones, all reportedly launched at the same time, hitting dozens of sites across the Middle East. It's just staggering. Just look at this. This really gives you a sense of the chaos that just erupted. The targets weren't just in one place. You've got multiple sites in Israel getting hammered, Dubai's airport in the UAE, even the U.S. Navy's 5th Fleet headquarters in Bahrain was hit. This wasn't just a simple counterpunch. It was a wave of attacks that basically set the entire Middle East on fire. And the main target of all this retaliation? Israel. Just got slammed. We're talking an unprecedented barrage, over 200 missiles. You can just imagine what that does to their air defense systems, testing them to the absolute breaking point. And of course, a conflict this big doesn't stay contained. It spilled over fast. Neighboring countries like Jordan got dragged right in, reporting they had to intercept nearly 50 drones and missiles themselves. So, as you can imagine, this crisis immediately went global. The fallout was felt far, far beyond the Middle East, and it was felt instantly. And almost immediately, this huge international debate just exploded. On one side, you have the US framing its involvement as a war of necessity, a preemptive strike to take out an imminent threat.
But on the other side, critics are firing back, calling it a war of choice, an illegal attack on a country when it seemed weak, something that could set a really dangerous precedent for the whole world.
And then there's the money. The economic shockwave was immediate. You've got this potential for the Strait of Hormuz, which is like a superhighway for global oil, to be shut down. And just the fear of that sent oil prices through the roof. Instantly, you've got fears of a worldwide energy crisis.
And amidst all this talk of geopolitics and strategy, we have to remember the human cost, which is already looking staggering. And please remember, these are very early, unconfirmed figures. But we're hearing reports of hundreds killed in Iran, dozens of casualties across at least 5 other countries, and that includes U.S. service members. The toll is just awful.
So where do we go from here? The situation is still escalating. It feels like the entire world is just holding its breath right now. The path forward is completely uncertain, and what happens in the next few days, well, it's going to be absolutely critical. And I just want to stress this one more time. This is a developing story. We're getting different details from different sources, and the full picture is definitely not clear yet. The situation is still incredibly, incredibly volatile. So all of this leaves us with the one massive question that's on everyone's mind right now. If these reports are confirmed, the death of Iran's supreme leader is, without a doubt, a historic political shift. But is this the event that contains a crisis? Or is it the spark that ignites a much wider and, frankly, far more devastating global war? That's what the world is watching to find out.